The stuff that's keeping you stuck in life right now, you actually built most of it yourself without knowing. The habits, the stories, the way you move through the day. And the frustrating part is, none of it looks like self-sabotage. It just feels like you're being smart or being careful. So the first one is pretending. And I mean this like you figured out a version of yourself that people respond well to, and now you just run that version all day without thinking about it. And the problem is, it takes a lot of energy. I remember being completely drained by lunch some days at work and realizing I hadn't actually done anything hard. It was because I'd already been adjusting how I talked and acted in like 5 different conversations. You don't notice how tiring that is until you start paying attention. The second one is the image in your head. There's this picture of who you want to become, more successful, more in shape, further along. And having that picture is actually very important. You need something to aim at. You need to visualize the life you want. But the problem starts when you stop using it as direction and start using it to beat yourself up. Instead of thinking, okay, cool, that's where I'm heading, let me get to work, you look at it and think, I should already be there by now. So the image that's supposed to pull you forward just keeps pushing you down. So keep the vision, but use it like a compass, not a scorecard. And make sure the version you're chasing is actually one you built yourself, not one that was handed to you by your parents or people you compare to online. Third one is probably one you don't want to hear, but without realizing it, you've set the same limits for yourself that the people who raised you had. And it usually shows up right when things start actually working out. You're building momentum, stuff is clicking, and then out of nowhere, you pull back. You cancel something, you start procrastinating, because on some level, going further than the people who raised you feels like leaving them behind. If your family struggled with money, steady success can feel like abandonment. If nobody around you ever left the neighborhood, leaving it feels like betrayal. You can want something really bad and still keep pulling yourself back without knowing why. So next time things are going well and you feel that urge to pull back, just don't. Sit with it. Let it be uncomfortable. You're allowed to achieve bigger things than the people around you ever did. Fourth is overplanning everything. And this one is sneaky because it genuinely feels like you're making progress. One time, I spent almost a year planning a big project, and at some point I realized that getting ready had become the whole thing. I never actually started. That's what planning turns into when you do it long enough. It's a way to stay safe, because as long as you're still preparing, nobody can look at your work and judge it. You get to stay in the almost ready zone forever. The way out is honestly just to start something small and kind of messy before you feel ready. That's it. The fifth one is your story. Something happened to you, maybe a lot of things, and some of them genuinely were unfair. And the story you built around it made sense at the time. But at some point, it stopped being a description of what happened and turned into a description of who you are. You say things like, "That's why I can't do this. That's why I'm like this." Once you start blaming everything on stuff that happened to you, you'll start waiting your whole life for something to come along and sort it out for you. And that means you're just stuck until the world changes, and it won't. What happened to you was real, but you're still the one who has to move forward. Sixth one is waiting until you feel motivated. This one probably wastes more time than all the others combined. Like one morning you're just gonna wake up and suddenly feel ready to go. But that almost never happens, and the longer you wait for it, the harder it gets. Some time ago, I didn't work on something for like 3 months because I kept telling myself I wasn't in the right headspace. And when I finally just forced myself to sit down and start, it took maybe an hour before I was locked in. The motivation showed up after I started, not before. That's how it works pretty much every time. And by the way, if motivation is the only thing driving you, you'll go hard for like a week and then fall off completely. You don't wait for energy to start moving. Moving is what creates the energy. So build the habit of just starting and let motivation be a bonus when it shows up. And the last one is telling yourself, that's just who I am. You say things like, I'm not a morning person. I'm bad with money. I don't have discipline. And you say it so often that it stops being a description and starts being a rule. Like you've decided this is the finished version of you and nothing's going to change. But think about who you were 5 years ago. You probably don't even relate to that person anymore. Different priorities, different habits, different way of thinking. So when you say, that's just how I am, what you're really saying is, that's how I've been lately. And you can change that whenever you decide to do something about it. So if there's one thing to take from all this, it's that most of what's keeping you stuck is stuff you unknowingly built yourself. But none of it is permanent. You can let it go. Start with the one that hit the hardest while you were watching this. No need to fix all of them at once. Even just one is enough to free up more energy and headspace than you'd expect.